After the Old Kingdom died with Negerkar, Egypt entered a period of chaos known as the First Intermediate Period, in which rule over Egypt was divided between competing power bases, first in Memphis and then others springing up in Heracleopolis, a city in Lower Egypt, and Thebes, a city in Upper Egypt. Because of the political upheaval, temples were pillaged, art was vandalized, and statues of kings were destroyed. Ancient historian Meryhathor hyperbolized the situation by commenting that there were 70 pharaohs who ruled for 70 days. Such was the disorganization of power. In the beginning of the chaos, the kings of the 7th and 8th dynasties tried to hold on to some power in Memphis, ruling in a limited capacity for just a few decades in quick succession, as follows: Menkaure, Neferkar II, Neferkar III, Djedkar Shemai, Neferkar IV, Meryhathor, Neferkamen, Nikar, Neferkar V, Neferkahor, Neferkar VI, Neferkamen Anu, Qakare Ibi. We'll stop here to note that while the others have very little archaeological evidence, Qakare Ibi is the best attested to pharaoh of these dynasties because of the discovery of his small pyramid in Saqqara, the last pyramid built there. Next came Neferkauer, Neferkauhor, and Neferkar, which finally brings us to the 9th dynasty, founded in Heracleopolis. The names of most of these pharaohs are lost, but possible names include the founder of this dynasty, Khety, who apparently had garnered enough authority around him to claim himself the successor of the 6th dynasty pharaohs. It's said that he ruled his neighbors with an iron fist. Others in this dynasty include Neferkar VII, Nebkau Khety, and Setut. Which brings us to the 10th dynasty, which continued in Heracleopolis with Meryhathor, Neferkar VIII, Qakare Khety, and Meryhathor. Meanwhile, in Thebes, the 11th dynasty ruled, beginning with its founding figures, Intef the Elder and his son, Mentuhotep I, although some consider him to be a fictitious figure, created later in the dynasty to serve as a founding figure. In any case, Sehertawi Intef I was the first member of the 11th dynasty to use a royal title by using a Horus name. He went to war with some neighboring areas and expanded the Theban kingdom 250 kilometers north. After him, Intef II ruled and expanded the kingdom further. By the time he died, he left behind a strong government in Thebes, which controlled the whole of Upper Egypt and maintained a border just south of Asyut, which Intef III conquered, extending the kingdom even further north toward the territory of the 10th dynasty rulers, culminating with the conquering of all of Egypt by Mentuhotep II, thus ending the First Intermediate Period and beginning the 11th dynasty and the Middle Kingdom. Following unification, Mentuhotep II reformed Egypt's government to reverse the decentralization of power, which had contributed to the collapse of the Old Kingdom. He stripped regional leaders of some power and centralized power in Thebes. He filled new governmental positions with men from Thebes who were loyal to him. Officials from the capital traveled the country regularly to control regional leaders. He ordered the building of many temples, including the mortuary temple where he was buried, breaking the Old Kingdom tradition of building pyramid complexes for such purpose. His mortuary temple was the first to identify the pharaoh with the god of the dead, Osiris, which was a local Theban god. He was succeeded by his son, Mentuhotep III, known for his expeditions to the land of Punt, returning with incense, gum, and perfumes. He was succeeded by his son, Mentuhotep IV. It is unclear how his successor assumed the throne. Either he usurped the throne from Mentuhotep, or he assumed the throne after Mentuhotep died childless. In any case, beginning the 12th dynasty was Amenemhat I. He was a high official in Mentuhotep IV's administration. Since he was not of royal blood, he may have attempted to legitimize his rule by reverting to the pyramid-style complexes of the 6th dynasty. In the 20th year of his reign, he made his son co-regent, the first king of Egypt to do that. Amenemhat was killed by his own guards while his son was away on a military campaign in Libya. Senusret I rushed back to Thebes upon hearing the news. For the rest of his reign, he continued to centralize power and supported the regional leaders who were more loyal to him. He followed in his father's footsteps in building a pyramid. His son, Amenemhat II, succeeded him. He built the White Pyramid, and in the 32nd year of his reign, he crowned his son co-regent. Senusret II constructed an extensive irrigation system to increase the amount of cultivable land around the Fayum Oasis region. He built his pyramid in El Lahun, which would become the political capital for the 12th and 13th dynasties. He was followed by Senusret III, the most powerful of the Middle Kingdom pharaohs. His military campaigns gave rise to an era of peace and economic prosperity that reduced the power of regional leaders and led to a revival in craftwork, trade, and urban development. He was among the few Egyptian kings who were were deified during his own lifetime. His distinctive statues show a strikingly somber expression, the eyes protruding from hollow eye sockets with pouches and lines under them, his mouth frowning, and his ears big and protruding forward. The rest of the body is idealized as forever young and muscular. Some argue that he wanted to be represented as a lonely and disenchanted ruler, consumed by worries and responsibilities. Others argue that it was meant to portray a tyrant, able to see and hear everything under his control. In any case, he may have had a long co-regency with his son and successor, Ochmann-HHderivative III. He built his first pyramid at Dashur, the so-called Black Pyramid, but there were construction problems and it was abandoned. Later, he built a new pyramid at Hawara. Towards the end of his reign, he instituted a co-regency with his son and successor, Ochmann-HHderivative IV, who undertook many trade expeditions, maintaining an Egyptian presence in Nubia. After he died without an heir, he was succeeded by his sister, or stepsister, Sobekneferu. She was the first female pharaoh to rule in her own right. Her short reign marked the end of the 12th Dynasty and the beginning of Egypt's decline into another period of chaos, known as the Second Intermediate Period, which again saw Egypt split between different ruling powers.